Welcome to a brand new edition of All Eyes on Cleveland. I'm your host, Brad Ward. Tonight is a very special show for me. Been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks. Both of these people are near and dear to my heart. Monte Perez will be with us tonight. Monte is a former comedian, a former college basketball coach, the lead writer for Nuts and Bolts Sports, creator and host of the full Monte Sports Show on YouTube. He has been terrific to me ever since I met him. He brought me on his show. Last year he asked me and our other guest tonight, and I'll introduce her now, Amarie Castillo, stand-up comedian, on-air talent with 610 KNML, now hosting her own show, Name 3 Players on the Sports Animal for Cumulus Media. Let's bring them both in. Guys, welcome to All Eyes on Cleveland. This is great. So I get to have you guys on here for once. It's been a long time coming. I'm very excited. I'm even nervous like that. I'm never nervous.
Nervous?
I'm nervous to have you guys on. It's so great. Both of you so near and dear to my heart. I was just explaining to all of my listeners, we're going to do an Around the NFL episode tonight, but Monte, you've been so fantastic to me. He just kind of, I don't know where you picked me from, but just brought me on your show, and then so kept doing more shows, and then we got to do the Monday night recap show, which we're doing again this year. So every Monday night, tune into the full Monte Sports Show. We'll be recapping every week of NFL. It's probably my favorite show of the week, and that's kind of weird to say because it's not even my show, but it's so much fun, and I get to talk about other things besides the Browns, which we'll get into here tonight. But lovely to have you both on. Welcome, Amarie. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm good. I missed you guys. The band is back together.
The band is back together, yes. It's amazing. So, Amarie, we have to say congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
On your own show, right? Here, let me
my own show. Had some trouble with, not trouble, but everything's great. Just a little mix up with CBS syndicated radio. So next Saturday it launches at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I guess, would be more for your followers.
Yeah, yeah. Name 3 players. What's the significance behind the name, Amory?
Name 3 players has been an ongoing joke with my brand, and my boss at the radio at Cumulus Media was like, "You need to keep going with that. Just call your show that." And because just throughout my career in sports media, men always ask me to name 3 players on teams. Like it's really weird, bizarre question that I could continue to. It's an ongoing joke.
That's awfully rude of them to do that.
It's funny at this point.
Men, of course, right? And of course, Monte, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
We have you.
I'm so happy to be here. So glad to be back with you guys. We have all had certain milestones. Amarie, obviously, with your new show on Saturdays. Brad, congratulations, your 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is tremendous. I started doing TikTok videos consistently about 5-6 months ago, and I'm over 1 million views. It's just my sports takes. It is just, sometimes I'll just throw up some crazy stats that most people don't know. Every once in a while, I'll throw in some 90s, 80s, some NBA, NFL, so people can reminisce a little bit. But yeah, I really went consistent with it, posting about 2 or 3 videos per day, and we just hit 1 million views.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to all of us. We are all reaching our goals.
Yes, we certainly are. And Monte, your TikToks are fantastic. I enjoy them all. I especially enjoy your ones about the Mets. Now, I have to ask you a question about this. The ones about the Mets, right?
Yes.
So, the Mets ones, you're not reacting live to those plays, right? Because you've seen the play. I mean, I don't want to break fourth wall here, right?
No. Here's the deal.
Okay.
So I usually watch the game with my dad and my brother, right? I have the MLB package, so we all watch it together. And I will sit there every time Lindor or Pete Alonso is up, and I'll record it. So half the time I record it, it's a pop out, and it just goes to waste. But yeah, most of the time I do it live, and I record it, and I just react. But for every home run that Lindor hits or every RBI that Pete Alonso hits, there's a double play, there's a pop-up that I just record, delete right away. And, I feel bad for my dad and my brother because I'm always like, pause it, I got to post this. So, yeah, I do record it live, but, again, I don't post the stuff when they strike out with the bases loaded.
I enjoy all of them. They're all very good, very funny. Your reactions are great on a lot of them. Very funny. I like the French fries yesterday with the Colts lineman. That was awesome, right? But we went hard about one of your topics. We were going back and forth about James Harden for weeks. Very controversial. I think you won the conversation. I mean, to be continued, but I think I will say that I think you won in your initial argument.
Well, the initial argument was just he's never won. He's always been a lazy guy, but I will give him credit. He took less money to go play with the Sixers, and he's in the best shape of his life, and so is Anthony Davis. So maybe these guys who don't pay attention to the media, maybe they started reading some of the negative commentary, because let's be honest, when James Harden is healthy and he's in shape, he's one of the top 10 offensive players, maybe not of all time, but in the league right now.
Yeah. Well, hey, we will see, right? I don't know. It'll be interesting. Sixers need more shooting around him for sure. Would it be interesting? But this is a football show. It's around the NFL edition. I want to get to your team, Amarie, first, okay?
Okay.
I know you're.
I'm at halftime right now. I'm at halftime of Vikings Raiders right now.
What's the score?
10. It was 10-6, but I was running around. I didn't see the last updated score.
No Kirk Cousins. COVID.
Yeah, he has COVID.
He has COVID. Okay.
But a lot of our starters didn't start. Running back, but Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Harrison Smith, Eric Kendricks, Irv Smith Jr., all of our Danielle Hunter. I mean, the list. There's about 8 star players that didn't play today at all.
Yeah, I actually have it right here, unbelievably. But yeah.
There we go. Patrick. Okay, I was getting there. Yeah.
And Sean Mannion started.
Yeah, I don't know why he's still on the team, but yes.
Is he number 2? Is he 2?
Is he? Well,
Second string?
actually, with a young boy genius, offensive-minded coach, I guess Callan Mond and Mannion are dueling out for QB2.
It should be Mond, right?
It should be Mond. That for once, that would be nice to not take a washed-up backup quarterback as QB2, and maybe develop a young potential, a guy who has potential. Mond, I think that's majority of the fan base and what the Vikings are hoping for.
Vikings win total 9.
I mean, that's
Over-under.
like basically the average number. I last time I looked, it was 8.5. So glad it went up a half.
Yeah, this is as of the 12th via DraftKings. So
Yeah, but I'm okay with 9.
Okay, over
I get
under.
to the playoffs.
Over under.
Over under. Oh boy, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna have some faith in the Vikes this year, in our division, especially in our division.
Yeah, I like the Vikings.
Thank you.
Well, this will lead perfectly into the Packers with Monty here in a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, defense gonna be good, right?
If we're really good, but if we stay healthy, I mean that's always the thing. But very very injury prone the last couple of years. I'm really excited because we have a whole new coaching staff. So this Zimmer era is over, and we're changing schemes. It's gonna be very. I'm so used to Zimmer the last almost decade that this is gonna be so fun seeing what goes on. I mean, even on the offensive side, they had a set with 5 wide receivers out on a drive. I was like, what is this? I've never seen this before as a Minnesota Viking fan. So I'm pretty pumped for this young coaching on all sides.
Yeah, so this is good. You've been pounding the table for new coaching change there. Different voice always helps in the locker room, right? Sometimes you can be a good coach and your voice can still get stale on a locker room. Nuts and Bolts Sports saying love Nuts and Bolts Sports there. So, and of course, Greg, we'll get to your Cowboys, Greg.
Greg always takes a shot at me no matter what.
Yeah. Why?
The Cowboys were ugly. I mean, that's hard to say for a preseason week 1, but somebody said might be the most undisciplined team he's ever seen in his life. I saw
penalty-wise, yeah. They don't show a lot of depth either.
By the way, does anyone take stock in the fact that the Ravens have won 21 preseason games in a row?
Insane.
I mean that is insane.
Insane.
Yeah, you know Brad's going to wave it off because it's the Ravens.
Nonsense. The Browns went 4-0 in the preseason. The year they went 0-16.
Yeah, but Brad, 21 games in a row when you're playing second,
insane.
third, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's a culture thing probably, right? It probably says something about your culture. Guys playing hard all the way through 90. Half those guys will be selling insurance in a couple weeks, so it's okay. Now, let's go to your hubby is a Colts fan, so you embrace the Colts on your you're a Colts fan as well. All right.
My team-in-law, that's what we call it.
Team-in-law, Colts. Let's talk Colts real quick. Musical quarterbacks with the Colts every year. Matt Ryan in this year. And it's like they're always getting these guys on the ass end of their career. It kind of sucks, right? It's like why do the Colts take the leftovers every year at quarterback?
I don't know, but then I guess there's a lot of promise with their backup Sam Ehlinger, and they have Nick Foles. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I mean Nick Foles has won a Super Bowl. Who knows? I think Matty I still has some time, some good couple maybe seasons left in him.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Monty? What do you think about Matt Ryan?
I took Matt Ryan over Carson Wentz.
I just wrote an article for Nuts and Bolts Sports previewing the Colts. I have them winning their division. The biggest question mark is defensively, they have a very good unit. Offensively, their offensive line is ranked in the top 10. Jonathan Taylor was the youngest player to have 2,000 yards from scrimmage last year. And I love Pittman, their wide receiver. My biggest complaint with the Colts is who's going to be their number 2 option in the passing game. They don't have a legitimate number 2 wide receiver.
Did they draft a wide receiver?
Yes.
They
Yes,
did
they
draft
did.
someone late in the rounds, but it's,
Yes.
I mean, depth chart wise, it's unproven wide receivers. And T.Y.
Sure.
Hilton is not signed. He's not on the roster, right?
Um,
No, he's not.
yeah, Alec Pierce.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I saw him. He's getting reps with the ones. I like him from Cincinnati. He's got a lot of good speed. I like him. He's a good prospect. I don't know how much he'll contribute this year.
Let
My
me ask
question.
you guys this question. Would
Yeah,
you, if you have the number one pick in fantasy football, is Jonathan Taylor the consensus number one pick?
Absolutely.
I
Brad?
suppose. I suppose.
Did you say I suppose?
Yeah.
I'm taking JT all day.
I will begrudgingly say, okay, yes, it probably should be him. But yeah, I'm a Nick Chubb truther, so anytime we
Oh.
bring up Jonathan Taylor,
You gotta take your heart out of it when it comes to fantasy football.
eh,
That's why I never pick Jets.
Well,
we'll get to the Jets.
that's a whole other story.
Okay, last thing on the Colts. What about though? They have a new defensive coordinator, right? Because Eberflus took the Bears
Yes.
job, and Eberflus is a stud. I like him a lot. So the new they got what's the guy's name? The defensive coordinator. The guy from the Raiders. The guy from he runs a cover 3.
Gus.
Gus Bradley.
Yeah.
Gus Bradley. Notorious cover 3, Seattle cover 3. So they're going to be switching to that stuff. Shaquille, don't call me Darius Leonard.
Shaq, baby.
Is dinged, right? He's out, right? For how long?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Isn't
How
he
did I
out with
miss
a back issue for some time? Am I wrong?
Darius Leonard?
Yeah,
No.
I swear.
Don't scare me.
Shaq
You're gonna
Leonard
make-
is
you're gonna
out.
make my household
Shaq Leonard
nervous.
is out, and they're bringing him along slowly. Is that what you're talking about, Brad? Shaq Leonard?
Yeah, used to be Darius
Right.
Leonard. Now he's Shaquille Leonard. Yeah,
Right.
he's out. They're bringing him along slowly, right?
Yes,
But,
Right.
correct.
okay.
But he has 500. He has over 500 tackles in 4 years. The guy's a
Yeah, I mean,
tackling machine.
He's incredible.
insane.
The question was more of like, does that worry you a little bit on the defensive side of the ball? Because they had a real good defense, and now they're switching to. Listen, I've studied this cover 3, Gus Bradley's cover 3, because the Browns run it, and I've studied it in depth. And I had a guy on from Britain who had studied it when the CA ran it in Seattle and broke down all kinds of film and stuff. It's okay for certain things. I'm not a huge fan of it, especially in today's NFL. The Niners defense ran it all the way to the Super Bowl and lost by a touchdown. So you have to have the right kind of players to run it. So it'll be interesting to see how those players transition from what they were doing to this, right? What do you think
I do
the
think they'll
Colts?
win their division too.
Colts
the
win
playoffs.
division. They got a 10 over under. What do you got? Over under?
I got the over. I have them winning 11 or 12 games. I think
Yep.
the Titans take a step back. Jacksonville will be better, but Jacksonville being better is what, 7 wins? And
Yeah.
then you look at Houston, what, 3 or 4 wins? So I think
Dave,
the Colts could go 5-1 in that division.
All right, guys. I got to do this. This is a Browns show. All eyes on Cleveland. Okay.
All eyes have been on Cleveland this entire
Well,
offseason, Brad.
Yeah, I know.
Every day.
And so, since I have you both here, and I think I have you for a couple more minutes, right? Amory?
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta run to the studio.
Yeah, it's okay. No worries. But I want to hit this while you're both here, okay? So the tough Browns questions for the outsiders, it's obviously we're trapped in this bubble, and everything we react to has some connotation to it, and I've followed it very closely. I've had to talk about it a lot. It's a hard subject to talk about at times, and everything. Let's do. I'm going to ask you some of these tough questions here, okay?
Okay.
With the Watson pickup, the $230 million guaranteed, what have the Browns done wrong in this process, Monty? And you feel free to say they never should have even done it, if you feel that way.
Well, Brad, I think there's 2 rules of thumb here, right? We know that the NFL, you could basically beat your girlfriend, drive drunk, you get second, third, fourth chances. I don't think the Browns did. The only thing that the Browns did wrong was maybe tell Deshaun Watson, "Boy, Brad, you said on my show, come in, pay everyone off, and say I'm putting this behind me. I've made mistakes like we all have. I'm a human being. It's time to grow." I understand them wanting to get rid of Baker Mayfield. Deshaun Watson was out there. Now you could ask yourself, hey, did they do enough research on this guy? But someone in the chat room said something about Watson, and I said, I hate to say this, but winning cures all. If the Browns go out and win and Deshaun Watson produces, he's going to be forgiven. So
Yeah.
most of the contract, and correct me, Brad, no one covers this better than you. Most of the contract is back heavy. So they're not paying him a ton of money this year. So if he plays 6 games or if he doesn't play at all, it doesn't matter, right? Because the contract is for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, they front loaded it with a signing bonus, and they gave him a $1 million base, which they've taken a lot of heat for. And I will defend him on this. Every team in the NFL does that. They've done that with multiple contracts across their roster. Denzel Ward got the same thing. It's a way that you kick the can down the road, money-wise, and it's done by a lot of front offices. So for people like as smart as like Peter King to go on and say, "Oh, the Browns rigged his contract too,"
No.
that's ridiculous. They've done it with multiple players on the roster. Come on, Peter, you're better than that. Okay. Amarie, what have the Browns done wrong from start to this point? And feel free, like I said, to just say they shouldn't have even done it.
Well, I wouldn't have taken on probably a quarterback who had any cases against him, but there was 20. I don't know. The number kept changing, and he hasn't played. We haven't seen him play for a while, except for this preseason game now, right? So. I agree with Monty, though. I think they did everything right. In general, I wouldn't have taken on Deshaun Watson at all.
Okay.
But I agree with the Baker Mayfield thing, too. He had to go. But why would you bring more drama into your locker room?
And again, Watson
I
was
just don't think it's worth it. There's quarterbacks on the market. Like, I just didn't see if it would be worth it.
Watson's supposed to be the professional in the room, right?
Right.
And then when you see, wow, this guy's not a professional at all. So I understand if you want to get rid of Baker because you didn't like him in the locker room and you didn't think he was, quote unquote, a professional mindset quarterback. Watson hasn't been that. On the field, maybe, but all the other drama.
On the field, off the field, two different stories. On the field, personal life, right?
Right.
What other job? He was not indicted on any, criminal charges. What other job would this ever have came up in his office? None. Right? It's only the NFL that they can pry into your personal life like this.
That's a good point.
So
Absolutely.
in every other job that he ever would have had, nobody ever would have even known about it, right? So like, it's personal life and then in the office, or on the field, in the locker room, and then personal life. He is an adult more than Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, on the field and in the locker room. So,
and look, you can't deny his talent with Houston, and I say this all the time. Even though Clemson played Alabama twice and Nick Saban won the first year, Nick Saban had another year and a month to prepare for Deshaun Watson. And in both of those games, you could argue that Deshaun Watson at Clemson was the best player on the field for 2 straight years against Nick Saban, who's supposed to be, a defensive genius. So the talent has always been there.
that was going to be my point. Sorry, don't mean this to go right in front of your face, Amarie.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. I have to leave soon anyway, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Logan makes a good point. I mean, it doesn't really matter now, but I mean, he was highly respected and looked at as like a very genuine, did a lot for the community person before all of this. I will say this, listen, but you're saying you wouldn't have taken on a quarterback. I get that. Top 5 overall talent quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. Maybe better as he gets older. I mean, the guy's only 25, 26 still, right?
Yeah.
So, maybe better. Whenever are you ever going to have a chance to acquire a proven quarterback at that level in free agency or in trade in the way that they did. That the opportunity never comes along. It's either you draft someone, take a chance on them, develop them, somebody late in their career, something happens. But because of the circumstances, and he wanted out of Houston before all this happened anyway, you know, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Guys, 13 teams went to the table initially to go after Watson. It wasn't just the Browns,
Of course.
13 teams went after this guy. So I understand everyone's perspective on this, right? Like, I'm never going to say you're wrong for your thoughts on this opinion because everybody can look at it differently. Is a football view, I think
Yes.
you need to take a big picture approach and say, okay, this year, whatever they can do to try to win, but I would prefer him get a year at this point. I would prefer him get a year. His contract toll, the Browns still get the 5 years. That would open up a ton of cap space for next year. They could even go after Jimmy G this year if they wanted to, because I think he's a higher upgrade than Jacoby Brissett by
I like
far.
Jacoby Brissett in this position for you though, because he out of backup quarterback situation, I think he's a bridge good quarterback to have out of. It could be a lot worse. You could have Sean Mannion.
You're great point, Amarie. You could.
You could have Joe Flacco.
You could.
You could.
Hey, good old Joey, Super Bowl champ.
I think he's. I think that he is. Brissett is okay for like
For now.
4, 6, 8 games.
Right.
I don't know if you can go 17 games with him. I mean, the Colts win 17 games with him.
Yeah, he did great.
He did great.
I think he's a very good backup if you need him to start 3 or 4 games. But I agree with you, Brad. Over a course of 17 games, you're going to see his shortcomings.
He has a reluctancy to push the ball down the field or take chances.
Very conservative.
Yes, and I would like to see somebody else. I would like to see if they have, and they've mentioned interest. It would behoove both Jimmy G and the Browns, if he gets a year here, to come together. I think both sides. Andrea says Watson got off easy. What? Well, first of all, we don't got off easy in what way, guys? What do we mean there?
I've talked to Andrea about this. I think she wants him to get a year suspension, like most of the fans in the NFL. I mean, I can't speak for, but that's what I think that's what she's saying. He should have got a year.
I know a lot of people, female and male, both were okay with the 6-game suspension until the report came out that there were 4 sexual assaults. That's where people took a 180 and like changed their mind all of a sudden after the reports came out, the most latest one, and then he got his suspension. But before that, everyone thought it was. I'm not saying it's okay, but they didn't think the Browns did something wrong.
Yeah. I read I don't know if you guys have read it. It's not fun to read, but I've read it. The 15-page Sue Robinson decision with the conclusion. It reads like they're going to give him a year.
Right.
Like, she does not parse words in her evaluation of her ruling. However, at the end, she basically said, there's a technicality here. The NFL has to give them fair notice that a non-violent offender, sexual assault offender, they have to give them fair notice that they can receive this much of a penalty, right? Which is why I can only give him 6 games. So it reads like a very guilty. I thought the narrative was so different going into that.
Did we lose Amarie?
Okay. Amarie's out. So, and Andrea, I'm interested to hear your opinion. Yes, a year and some jail time. That's interesting.
I will say this to make light of the situation. A comedian, and a comedian did say, Amarie, I was just saying, to make light of the situation, a comedian did say, if Deshaun Watson ever cramps up during the game, they're just going to give him Gatorade and a banana. No one's going to touch him on the sideline.
Oh, no, only Browns massage therapists are allowed to work with them now because that makes the situation better for them.
I'm just trying to add light to a different.
No, I love it. And there was the National Massage Therapist Convention in Cleveland this year.
So talk about irony.
The jokes can just keep going.
Yes.
Amarie, you got to go?
Yeah. I got to go work baseball.
this
Amory,
was
we'll see you in a couple
baseball.
weeks.
I know, I'm so excited. I cleared all my Mondays. I know AAA baseball, the affiliate team for the Rockies.
Okay.
Isotope.
Awesome. Good for you, man. You got to do what you got to do. Keep grinding.
I missed you,
Amory,
Marcelo.
so happy for you. So happy to have you on the show finally here. And then, Monday nights, please tell
Can't
everybody
wait.
we're getting
Can't
out there
wait.
Monday nights. Best NFL recap in the land on Nuts and Bolts Sports with the full Monty show. NFL Weekly Recap. Bye, Amory. Go check out our show. I'll drop a link in the description below. Love Amory.
She's so
Amory's
entertaining.
great.
She's so entertaining.
Very fantastic. Yes,
Yeah, she's great.
All right, let's keep into this just for a minute here, and then we'll go to some other stuff. But it's a Brown show, so and we've got people in the chat, commenting, about some of this stuff. Greg says Watson. No, that's not the one I wanted. I apologize. Come on, Mikey, get it together. Oh, you wouldn't see Jimmy G push the ball downfield either. I disagree, Greg.
Jimmy G's very conservative. That's one of the things that Trey Lance, they like about Trey Lance in San Francisco. He's a little bit more aggressive. Jimmy G, but let's be honest, the Browns have a ton of talent in the run game, and I gotta assume that play action is going to serve well for whatever quarterback is in there to throw it deep to Amari Cooper, or you have some really good wide receivers, So I think bringing Jimmy G in is a huge step up from Jacoby Brissett. The only question you'd have to ask yourself is, would he be ready? Let's say they pull the trigger this week. Would he be ready week 1? Probably not, right? It'd be started week 3 or 4.
If they did it tomorrow, maybe week 1, but I don't think that's happening. The NFL is taking extremely long with the decision, Monty. I have no idea why it's taking so long to come to this conclusion. I guess they're giving them a chance to come to a settlement. I really am at the point where I just give him a year and let's.
Well, here's the thing, Brett. If they give him a year, does he appeal it?
He probably takes it to court, but they're not going to win that battle either. So to me, the only way they win that battle is if it takes place in Delaware. So the NFLPA would have to file first in Delaware before the NFL could file in the Southern District of New York. As long as they file first, which they have the advantage of because they know when the announcement's coming out, so they can literally have someone at the doorstep. So they will get venue unless they get caught tampering with that somehow. More than likely in the Southern District of New York, and NFL's going to win every lawsuit there.
But there's no reason for the NFL to delay this. They want this put behind them. They don't want people talking about that. I know the old saying, any press is good press, but the NFL tries so hard to be positive and tries so hard to make it seem like this is a family league. I don't know what the hell they're delaying for.
I don't know either. It's driving me crazy a little bit at this point. Logan makes a nice point. Hey, Greg, Jimmy G threw for 3,978 yards, 27 touchdowns, and went to a Super Bowl. I think he pushed the ball down the field a little better than Jacoby. I would have to agree. I agree with you, Monty, too. I think he's a big, a lot of people are like, they're the same kind of quarterback. No, I don't think
they're
so.
not.
I think Jimmy G is a much better quarterback than Brissett, and he literally is in the exact same scheme, exact same offense as San Francisco that the Browns run. Literally.
And I will say this, all the San Francisco players have nothing but respect and admiration for Jimmy G, and they wish him well. No one has said a bad word about him in the 2-3 years that he's been at the height of his career, and they've been competing in NFC championship games and when they went to the Super Bowl. No one has, George Kittle raves about the guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never even thought about that, but that's a great point. Can't wait for Monday. Me too, Andrea. I cannot wait for Monday nights. Monday nights will be fantastic, Monty. I'm looking forward to it this year, big time, and I appreciate you having us back. Okay. I had one question more for you on this topic before we moved on. I got this in a mailbag, Monty.
Oh, great.
I thought it was very intriguing.
Good.
great question, and I wanted to ask you this on the Browns topic. More Brown stuff will come up later in the process of our show here, but on this topic, the question was emailed in our mailbag a couple weeks ago. If we could get in the DeLorean, right? Go back in time, 1.21 gigawatts, right? Doc Brown, go back and do this all over again. The reports have come out that the Browns kicked the tires on Russell Wilson before arriving as Deshaun Watson. Wilson had no interest in going to Cleveland. I doubt they offered Russell Wilson $230 million guaranteed at the time. If they could go back and offer him that and get him to come, would you do that instead of Watson?
Okay, so let's forget about just the off-the-field stuff.
Sure.
The reason why I would take Russell Wilson if we could go back in time, like Back to the Future, is because, first of all, Russell Wilson's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Deshaun Watson's not at that level yet. Second of all, I look at Cleveland right now, and if you look at the division that you're in, okay, you're built to win now. On both sides of the ball, you have tremendous talent. So bringing in someone like a Jimmy G or Deshaun Watson or a Russell Wilson who commands the huddle, commands respect, professionalism, first guy in, last guy to leave, it would be a no-brainer. I think Russell Wilson makes Denver a legitimate chance to go to the playoffs, which Denver hasn't had a legitimate quarterback in their prime since they traded for Peyton Manning. And you look at Cleveland now, you bring in a Russell Wilson, tell me they wouldn't be the favorites to win the division with Russell Wilson as their quarterback.
I still think the Bengals would be the favorites. Maybe. Probably. I kind of like what the Bengals, I hate admitting it, but I like what they did in the offseason. Monty, they, did a nice job with that offensive line, and the defense is going to be pretty good. I think they have something going in Cincinnati. For some reason, they just have a really hard time with the Browns. I mean, the Browns swept them last year in their Super Bowl year. So I don't know if we
So
see
wait,
a Super
but
Bowl.
Brad, would you say that if you look at the roster, first of all, the Ravens just being healthy is going to be a huge upgrade for them. You look at Pittsburgh. I know Pickens lit it up yesterday. I like the Mitchell Trubisky signing. You look at the Steelers. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing year. They now have a better quarterback than they did last year. But I look at the Browns, and I would say that talent-wise, on both sides of the ball, do the Browns not have the most talent in this division?
No, I think it potentially absolutely could, 2 through 53, right? It's
Right.
all about that quarterback position. So I think you're absolutely right. Now, my point would be to this. I would still choose Watson. And I know most people are going to say they would choose Wilson. And I get why. Culture, like Joe said right here, absolutely, he's a culture changer and a great QB. Sure. He is 32 years old, right? He's in his 30s.
Yeah, I mean, but I think he's got 5 years left.
Okay, he's 32 years old. I think I've seen a little bit of a fall from grace a little bit. I don't think he's the same Russ Wilson he was at one point. We'll see this year, right? New offense, new weapons around him. Maybe it'll rejuvenate him and it'll look fantastic. Maybe Russell start cooking again. I've seen kind of some inconsistent play last year and kind of fallen off a little bit. Wilson is 33. Thank you, Greg. Deshaun Watson is 26. I mean, you're talking about a difference of 5 years left in a career and 15? I mean, potentially, right? I mean, to me, you get a whole career of Watson in his prime instead of getting the back end of the career of Russell Wilson without all the headache.
But the only thing I will say for that is it's really your philosophy, right? The Lakers traded all their young guys for Anthony Davis. They won a title, right? So the Rams gave up a ton of picks for Matthew Stafford. They win a title. So if you win a title, if Russell comes in Cleveland, he wins a title for 1 year, and you win a Super Bowl, I would rather take that than the unknown of Watson for the next 10 years.
What's unknown about Watson for the next 10 years?
Well, I'm just saying you don't know if I mean, we don't know if this guy is a winning quarterback. He was a winner in college. He struggled in Houston because that organization was terrible. So my question is, I would do what the Lakers did 10 times out of 10. Trade for Anthony Davis, win a title, and then whatever happens after that happens.
I
The
guess
Rams
I
just
view
did it. The Rams just did it. The Rams don't care about draft picks, right? They just
right.
keep signing guys, and they don't care about a salary cap either. So I don't know. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. You make a good point of the all-in, right? Like just the all-in method to win now. I think that Andrew Berry and that front office sees Watson as sustaining success for a
So
long
not a
period
quick
of
fix,
time,
long term.
opening up the window for 10 years to potentially win a Super Bowl rather than going for it in the next 3.
Right. I mean, but just look at the Rams, right? They went to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, and Sean McVay's like, no, man, that's not enough. We need Matthew Stafford. So they could have easily kept with Goff, won 11 games, but they're all in. You know, they signed Jalen Ramsey, they signed all these players, and they give up their picks. They're like, we're winning now. I don't care about the future.
Yeah, I get it, but I honestly think that Watson is maybe a better quarterback. I mean, knock the rust off than Wilson now, and will be. I mean, I thought if you go look at quarterback rankings, Wilson was near the top probably 2 years ago, right? 1 or 2, 3. But Watson was right there at 4 or 5 in the NFL. When you say he struggled in this Houston, yeah, the
I'm
team
saying
went
win-wise.
win-wise. But he was putting up remarkable numbers
Despite
and
the
showing
team.
that he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I just think that, I don't know. I think the window is open for longer in a team that has lost for so long and a city that has lost for so long. I think he provides a
But
better chance.
But that's
for winning.
why I say, because and again, if this was a different organization, and me, I'm not looking down at the Browns. I'm a Jet fan. We have not been a Super Bowl since 1969. We haven't had a franchise quarterback since Joe Namath. But what I'm saying is, if you're Cleveland and you're building this team to win now, I would go with a quarterback that is a proven winner now, because your whole life, like the Jets, have been filled with potential, and you've never reached that potential because you've never been to a Super Bowl. At least with Wilson, it's a safer and to me, it's a smarter move short term, because you have all the pieces around him. He doesn't have to rebuild. He doesn't have to be the Russell Wilson of 5 years ago, like Peyton Manning wasn't with Denver. He was still very good, except the last year. But when they lost to Seattle, Peyton Manning put up all sorts of numbers. Everyone thought his career was over. So as a losing organization, like my Jets have been, or like the Browns have been because they've never been to a Super Bowl, my thought process would be, we have a chance with the team we built around to win now. Let's get a Super Bowl quarterback who's still pretty damn good.
I totally see your point. I just think that I value Watson as a quarterback maybe more than you do. I see him as a proven commodity. So like when you say, oh, we can bring in a guy at this cost and he can give us a chance to win for the next 3 years, I see Watson giving him just as good of a chance for the next 3 years. Minus this year, of course. You do have to give up this year. So if it's about this season, which I understand people that pound the table and make that point. Hey, you got Nick Chubb in his prime, Myles Garrett in his prime, X, Y, all these people in their prime on this roster, and you're going to throw that away because Watson's not going to be able to play. I totally get that. I totally.
But I will
understand
say this again: if I was starting a franchise, every time I'm taking Watson over Wilson. But because you're built to win now, I would have taken Wilson. That's a great question, by the way, by the email.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, two different opinions, but I get it. Yeah, the all-in philosophy makes sense for me. If you have like an older roster, maybe. But for me, I see Denzel Ward just re-signed. Nick Chubb is going to be there for a few years. Plus they brought in this Jerome Ford kid that looks fantastic. I don't see a problem there. They got young offensive linemen now. They've turned out some of the older ones for younger ones. I just see them trying to sustain success more than an all-in approach.
By the
And I
way,
get
Brandon,
the
a
all-in
lot of
approach.
people were asking me to ask you this question coming on
Yeah.
the show. If you had to put money on it, is Kareem Hunt going to be in the backfield week 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he will.
So he's not getting traded.
No, and the Browns have handled this. They did the same thing with Njoku, and then Njoku did a complete turnaround and has now signed an extension with the team. Um, they told Baker no initially, but that was going to happen anyways, right? Uh, they told him no. He did. See, he expressed the fact that he wanted to retire a Brown over the summer, and he wanted to finish his career in Cleveland and help them win a Super Bowl. And then he did the hold in for 2 days. Nobody really even caught on to it in Cleveland until like the second day, right? Like, wait, what's going on with Kareem? And then he requested trade because they're like, listen, we're not. You still got a year to play out on your contract. He really has no leverage. His contract is all incentive laden. He has to play each week to earn his next $4 million, right? So, and he was hurt last year for the majority, a lot of the season. So, I think it's bad business to get rid of guys that want to be here, culture-wise, right? Kareem Hunt is a good turnaround success story for the Browns, and he's an absolute animal in the backfield, right? Like,
It's the best backfield in the NFL. You have two
right.
number one running backs.
So I don't think the Browns, without Deshaun Watson, can allow him to leave. They're just going to have to say, play it out, whatever. Maybe they can guarantee him some of that money. Nick Chubb was very vocal about, like, do whatever you have to do. He's my best friend on and off the field. I don't want him to leave. So and Nick Chubb is never vocal, but he was very vocal about keeping Kareem Hunt here.
It's amazing because you would figure that these guys who are competing for time, but it's sort of like Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. They're best friends. They don't care who runs, who gets catches. It's such a unique dynamic, and it shows you how guys like that, like you just mentioned, and I'll talk about with the Packers, when running backs like that are like, hey man, when he goes in, I watch him and I'm rooting for him because the better he does, the better we are. That's a great thing to have on a team because not every NFL player is like that.
You're right. It is. Kareem Hunt always talks about how hilarious Nick Chubb is, and I'm like, what?
Well, they say the same thing about Bill Belichick. They say Bill Belichick's one of the funniest guys in practice. And then you go to his press conference, it's like watching paint dry.
Absolutely. All right, let's pivot. You're watching All Eyes on Cleveland. Special guest, Monte Perez, lead writer for Nuts and Bolts Sports, creator/host of the full Monte Sports Show. Friend of mine. Glad to have him on here tonight for Around the NFL edition of All Eyes on Cleveland. Let's talk about your Packers. So, better off-season for Aaron Rodgers, right? Less chaos there, but some recent stuff here. What's he been up to? He was taking I don't even know how to pronounce that drug. Ayahuasca.
Psychedelic drugs, which he's taking. Good for him.
I
do
life.
not.
Best day of his life. Best day of his life. What a douche. What a douchebag. Seriously.
I say this all the time, right? I used to be a Floyd Mayweather fan. I used to watch all his fights. And then when I found out he used to beat his girlfriend, I stopped paying for it. And it's very hard to root for the Packers because personally, I can't stand Aaron Rodgers as a human being. But it's not like Aaron Rodgers is going into the MMA and he's fighting and I don't know. I'm a Packer fan. And, with Nuts and Bolts Sports, I'll be covering the Falcons, the Packers, and the Dolphins. I'll be covering 3 teams and obviously watching my Jets. But it's very hard to root for him because he's an egomaniac. And I don't care if you're an egomaniac because most quarterbacks are. But when you look at winning guys, and I would never tell someone not to make money, but how many times has Tom Brady taken a pay cut? So he could keep guys there. There's no secret why wide receivers are constantly leaving Green Bay. Devontae Adams, everyone was like, oh, he was leaving anyway. Well, when Aaron Rodgers signs that max deal, and then they're like, oh, but it's cap friendly. It's not cap friendly. When you make that much money, it's not cap friendly. And I look at Aaron Rodgers and I say to myself, he's the best quarterback I've ever seen. But here are the facts. He's terrible in the postseason. And I think he has a lot of Peyton Manning in him. And one of the reasons Peyton struggled in the postseason is because Peyton was such a creature of habit and he'd watch so much film that all of a sudden, if you take away Peyton's number one option, which Bill Belichick did for years in New England, he starts to get the happy feet and he panics.
Yeah.
There's no excuse to be the number one seed for 2 years in a row and you lose to Tampa Bay and you lose to San Francisco at home and you score one touchdown. Aaron Rodgers' offense scored one touchdown against San Francisco. That is the guy who, when money's on the line, I say this all the time, and I know it's a football show, but you look at what someone like LeBron James does or Steph Curry or great NBA players in the postseason, in the finals, they average more points. They average more rebounds. They average more assists. In every way, Aaron Rodgers in the postseason shrinks where someone like a Patrick Mahomes or a young Josh Allen, and hopefully this year we'll see it with Justin Herbert, they elevate their game in the postseason. Rodgers doesn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, he just does such. He's on McAfee's show every Tuesday for the interview, right? And I get a lot of people like him, think he's cool, whatever. I just think he comes across as a total tool, and I just really can't stand him. It's not like he's a bad guy, I don't think, but like, kind of weird that like nobody in his family likes him, right? Like, I don't know. I don't want to get into all that, but he just kind of. I mean,
he never takes blame for anything. Like when you lose a game, right? And you're the quarterback, you're the face of the franchise. No matter if you lose, I've seen Tom Brady lose games where he scores 30 points and they'll blame the defense. And he says, well, you know what? If I made this pass in the third quarter, my guys wouldn't have to make a defensive play. Like as the leader of the franchise, when you win, we're going to give you all the credit, right or wrong. And when you lose, say, listen, this is on me 100%. I did not play well.
let's
And he
go
doesn't do that.
back. Yeah, he doesn't. Not at all. Let's go back. I mean, huge loss here. Maybe the best wide receiver in the league goes to the Raiders, right? What happened there with Rodgers? He said he took the deal, and it was like he took a deal that prohibited the Green Bay Packers from re-signing.
Well, here's the deal, right? The Packers, I said this all along. And Rodgers, again, he uses the media and he manipulates the Packers. And the Packers are kind of in a precarious position because he's bigger than life there. He's bigger than Brett Favre. And let's be honest, if I was going to take a quarterback, I would take Rodgers over Brett Favre 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. But the problem is he never met where you see Tom Brady, he'll always call guys. And I'm using Tom Brady, and I know a lot of people don't like him, but Tom Brady always takes less money. And he'll communicate with his wide receivers. He did it with Antonio Brown. Hey, we're going to get, as much of a jerk that guy is, hey, we're going to get you this. Don't worry. We're going to take care of you. He did it with Gronk numerous times. Hey, we're going to get you in. This is what I want. There was just a video that Gronk needed like 2 more catches to get his bonus like 2 years ago or his last year. And they were sitting Brady. Brady's like, you're not taking me out. And because he wanted to get Gronk so Gronk could get his bonus. The Packers are in a very weird position right now because they lost the best wide receiver in the game in Devontae Adams. Now, they have unproven wide receivers. They also lost Valdez-Scantling, who went to Kansas City, right? So you look at this roster right here, right? It's unproven guys. Randall Cobb, veteran, at best he's going to get what, 30, 40 catches? Alan Lazard was a good third wide receiver. Now he's listed number 1 on the depth chart. Sammy Watkins, if you play fantasy football or daily fantasy, Sammy Watkins is going to get you a game where he has 8 catches, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Then the next 3 weeks, he's going to get 6 catches for 60 yards. He always disappears. So 2 years ago, the Packers got their butts kicked. Actually, 3 years ago, the Packers got their butt kicked 37-20 to the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And Matt LaFleur came back from that game being embarrassed because he used to coach on the same staff as Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, the coach from the Rams, the coach from the 49ers. And he said, we need to get tougher. We are going to become a running team. Most people don't realize this. A.J. Dillon had more rushing yards last year, 800. He led the team than Aaron Jones. They had 1,500 rushing yards combined. So the Packers have a top, I would say, 7 offensive line. And now this team is starting to be what Matt LaFleur wants. And this is what Sean McVay has. This is what Kyle Shanahan has, all from the Shanahan coaching tree. And that's run first, run second, power running game. They have the best schemes that they got from Mike Shanahan back in the day when he was with Denver, with obviously Terrell Davis and John Elway winning back-to-back Super Bowls. So this team is not going to be a 35-pass team. It's not going to be a 30-pass team. I think Rodgers is going to throw the ball about 25 times, but you're going to see a steady diet of A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, and that's what they're going to do. Because I look at this wide receiver core. Yes, they got some rookies, but when Alan Lazard was your third or fourth option, and now he goes to the number one option, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. Lazard, at least Lazard's back. I like Christian Watson a lot, but he kind of needs some refinement. What's the word on him out of camp, Ben?
I'm sorry, I just lost you. I didn't hear you.
Christian Watson?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. You know, how many times have we seen Aaron Rodgers go to rookies? This is a point in his career where he's going to have to evolve. I've seen Patrick Mahomes not even pay attention to Tyreek Hill for a half because he's just taking advantage of the mismatches, right? I've seen Josh Allen do this. I've seen Drew Brees do this. I mean, they love Michael Thomas, but Drew Brees would always find someone who's open. This is what great quarterbacks do. It used to be a running joke with me because when Russell Wilson was in Seattle, I used to have T.J. Lockett, and my other friend had the other wide receiver. I forget his name right now. The other guy, the other stud for Seattle.
Lockett and
Metcalf. And 1 week Metcalf would have 9 catches, Lockett would have 3. The next week, Lockett would have 10, Metcalf would have 3. So this is something that if they're running the ball, Aaron Rodgers has got to evolve as a quarterback. And obviously with Devontae Adams, who's been the best wide receiver over the last 2 years, now in Las Vegas, he's going to have to evolve. And it goes along to what you said. He just seems like a tool that's just like, you know what, I'm me. I don't need to evolve. I'm going to be what I am. But he needs to see the whole field and just take advantage of the mismatches like a Patrick Mahomes does, like a Tom. How many times did Tom Brady not throw to Mike Evans in a game because Antonio Brown was open or Godwin was open, right? He doesn't care. They just take advantage of the mismatches. The question is, can Alan Lazard go up against elite defensive backs and create separation?
Yeah, I don't know if he can. I think they're obviously relying on Rodgers to elevate their wide receiver core. It feels like they need to add a body at some point. Maybe here at cut downs, maybe they add somebody with some experience. There's still some guys out there on the market, like an Emmanuel Sanders and guys like that, Cole Beasley, T.Y. Hilton. But Christian Watson, he's the most intriguing name I see up there. Greg mentioned he just came off the PUP list. Sammy Watkins just cannot stay healthy for the life of him. Romeo, I don't know how you say it, Dubs?
Yeah.
Listen. He was in that.
Again, they have a lot of talented guys here. There's a lot of guys who on paper can make plays. But other than Watkins, who, let's be honest, has been probably one of the most inconsistent wide receivers over the last 5 to 7 years, there's no one here that has more than 50 catches in a season over their career.
Robert Tunyon's good.
Robert Tunyon's a very solid tight end. He's very good in the red zone as well.
What do you think of their defense this year? They've really improved their defense incredibly over the past few years. Great pick with Eric Stokes last year. Turned out to be an excellent corner, right, as a rookie. And, of course, Jair Alexander, maybe the best in the game. So 2 lockdown corners. What's the front 7 look like? Looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, I think this defense has a chance to be top 10. when you look at this division right now, you're going up against a rookie quarterback in Chicago, who I think will be very good down the road, but Chicago's offensive line is terrible. You're looking at Detroit, which I think they'll be better, but what does that mean? 8-8? I mean 8-9, 7-10? Like, I think Detroit will be better, but again, it's Jared Goff. And we know that Kirk Cousins is a good fantasy quarterback, but in big games, he has not performed as well as other elite quarterbacks. This defense, their strength is in their back line. You mentioned it. Amos and Savage are very good 1-2 punch. Stokes and Rasul Douglas are going to be playmakers. I think this defense is going to cause a lot of turnovers, and that should help them because, again, Packer fans, we're looking at a different team this year. This team is going to be predicated on the defense creating sacks, creating turnovers, and we're going to be looking at ball control on offense. It's not going to be the quick, 40-yard pass to Devontae Adams. I think this defense could be top 10 if all goes well, top 7 in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be good again. They're going to be good. My only question is about wide receiver, right?
Right.
And I mean, but you got two guys that Dubs or whatever. Greg said has been the one making noise at camp a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how Watson does when he gets off the pup list here and starts getting back in the mix. Because I don't think you can rely on Sammy Watkins. Alan Lazard is okay, but I mean, if I'm another team, I'm not putting it's not like I'm they're getting off the bus and I'm scheming up to stop Alan Lazard, right?
That's my whole point. Like the game plan has got to be different because most teams are just going to press these defensive back. I mean, obviously Watkins is a deep threat, and these other guys are young and improving. But the Packers have gone 13-4 for the last couple of years. I see them winning 11, maybe 12 games, and I think the Vikings win 11, maybe 12 games. So I think it's going to be a real tough division at the top to see who wins the division because I think the Vikings, if you look at what they've done this offseason with their changes and their offensive firepower, I was always confident that the Packers can score with anyone. Their biggest question mark this year is, will they be able to score with the Vikings? Because the Vikings wide receivers are elite.
Yes, they are. That is, their offense should be really good. It feels like they just can't get over that hump. And they got a new coach in there and everything, so that'll be interesting. Those games will be very interesting. The Green Bay Vikings games this year.
Vikings have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, definitely. But so does Green Bay. I would still pick Green Bay to win this division, personally.
Yeah, I have them winning 11 games.
Yeah. They just have talent all over the place. I mean, that defense is impressive. There's just a few weaknesses, right? And you just need some guys to step up. I would just throw some more bodies at the problem if I was them. I kind of wish the Browns would do the same thing. They have a very similar, unproven wide receiver room beyond Cooper, right? Amari Cooper. You've got Donovan Peoples-Jones. And I haven't found.
Yeah, but you're high on him, aren't you? Aren't you high on him?
I'm high on Peoples-Jones. I'm high on David Bell. I like all three of those guys. But those are your best three receivers. And after that, I don't really see anything. Schwartz, 2 drops in the first series in the preseason game after coming off a rough rookie year. They just don't have any depth, man. Like, if you're going to really have... What drives me nuts is when a GM puts together a roster that's so talented everywhere, but leaves one area that's critical to winning, and you don't finish it by signing, just sign a guy for $3 million that makes the room a little more experienced. Just add one professional receiver to the situation, and it looks a lot better, right? That's why I mentioned Emmanuel Sanders. Professional guy, runs good routes. I know he's older, but he changes the way you look at a room, because one injury doesn't ruin you, and you're not now depending on rookies or guys that should be on the practice squad to step up and play.
Well, to your point, does anyone...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, no. To your point, you say injuries doesn't ruin your roster. I mean, Brad, if you were a betting man, is Sammy Watkins going to play 17 games this year?
He definitely is not. He definitely is not.
I agree.
I don't know what he's averaged over the last few years, but it's probably something around 4 or 5 or something.
In week 5, you know he's going to have a hamstring or a groin pull.
Yeah, he's got that. Like 2 years in a row, he had like the amazing week 1, hurt all year, and then showed up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, let's pivot to some other around the NFL news. Monte Perez, lead writer, Nuts and Bolts Sports. Fantastic man, funny, knowledgeable. Go watch the full Monte Sports Show on YouTube. He's terrific. This is around the NFL edition of All Eyes on Cleveland. Bears, Roquan Smith wants a trade. He's 25. He's his own agent. Okay? Ravens, Lamar Jackson, just recently, I think today, put out a deadline on his extension. He wants it done by week 1. Both of these are very intriguing to me, Monty, because they're representing themselves, which changes everything in my opinion. Where do you come out on these two?
Well, the one thing I will say, like, if I'm a Bears fan, right, I understand that you got rid of Robinson, who's now with the LA Rams, okay? You get rid of Khalil Mack. Older guys, more experienced guys, they weren't happy there. But Roquan Smith is 25 years old. You have a young quarterback. What are you building around if you're not going to re-sign a 25-year-old very good linebacker? And this is why I was so upset. I understand Robinson didn't want to stay, but if you have a young quarterback, the two things you got to do is build the offensive line and get him some wide receivers. So this Roquan Smith thing, to me, I don't know what the hell the Bears are doing. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm miserable. We're trading off old guys. We're in rebuilding mode. Here's a guy that can lead us for the next 5 years on defense, and he's miserable. He wants out.
You just brought in this defensive genius, Eberflus,
right?
Who's been working with Leonard, right?
Yeah.
You would think he would want to secure his freaking middle linebacker, right? Like, of the future. Like, what are they doing? Why isn't he in there jumping on the table in the GM's office saying, sign this guy? I don't understand what's going on.
And Khalil Mack, the leader of that defense, is gone now, right? He left. So now it's Smith's unit to run. You have a Eberflus who's supposed to be a defensive guru. The one person you want is a signal caller on defense, a middle linebacker. And let's look at, the history of linebackers in Chicago, going back to Dick Butkus, Singletary. You have these guys who are legendary. I'm not saying Smith is in that category, but 25 years old, he could be a tackling machine. And if I'm Eberflus, I'm like, I want this guy leading my defense for the next 5 years.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Let's see what comments here. Very few teams have the space to extend Roquan Smith, just over $9 million this year, and he would easily be $17.5 to $20 million. Hard to do with so few off-ball linebackers. Right? It's a good point. It's a very good point. The linebacker is not valued the same way that it once was. It's kind of gone the way of the running back on offense, right?
Defensive backs are really pass rushers. Yep.
Yeah, your premium positions are on defense are definitely in your secondary, more so your corners and in your edges, right? So.
But when you think of the Bears, Brad, don't you think of just like Dick Butkus, Dent, Wilbur Marshall, Singletary? You think of like linebackers and defense.
Yeah.
And they bring in a defensive coach, so that's really his whole identity.
Yeah, totally get it. I don't know what they're thinking either. To me, he is an exception to that rule, the value rule. Like when Nick Chubb came up, don't sign running backs, don't sign. To me, he's an exception to that rule. Middle linebackers, Shaquille Leonard, Shaq Leonard now. He's changed his name. I keep calling him Darius still. He took his middle name on, right? So Shaq Leonard. He's an exception to the rule. You're going to pay him. He's an amazing middle linebacker. Roquan Smith falls in that category for me.
And not only that, like a few years ago when the Packers they re-signed Aaron Jones and they kind of overspent for him. But I'm like, when do the Packers ever sign a big-time wide receiver or running back in free agents? They don't. So pay the guy. He's beyond productive going along with your thought process there. There are a few exceptions to the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson real quick. This is very intriguing to me, right? So, him and his mother doing most of the negotiating. This is so. Monty, when you have an agent and you go through an extension negotiation or whatever, the front office tells the agent, right, what they think of it. Here's what we like about him. Here's what we don't like about him. Here's why we don't want to give him this much money. This is what we would like to see him do more. They have a problem with this. We have a problem with that. And the agent then takes it and makes it sound real sweet and nice and to the player. And he never hears all that bad stuff because he would never sign a deal if he actually did, right? Take the agent out of the equation, and now you're dealing player to player personnel, employee, and they're hearing the raw truth of what they think about you as a player, and directly how that translates monetarily to your future. That's going to be a problem every time. I'm sorry. There's nobody there to buffer the situation. I find it hard to believe. I mean, I know they'll get there, but you can see why these negotiations are difficult, right?
Yeah, they're going to get there. But again, anytime you have a family member representing you, it's hard. One of the things that agents always say, you can't take it personal. We got to treat this like a business. So, to your point, if my mother's representing me, my sister, my brother, and some radio producer says something negative, they're going to take it personally, right? They're not going to look at it as business wise. I think this is going to get done, and it's going to be very interesting to see because I know a lot of NFL players now with the money that they're making. Okay, give you an example. Tom Brady's worth $400 million. Okay, he's worth $400 million. He's going to be a billionaire for playing football. With all the money that is involved now, we're going to see a lot more players saying, I'm just going to represent myself. And like anything else, in certain areas, you could get away with it. But in certain areas, you're going to be taking one little miscellaneous thing that, because let's be honest, GMs and owners will take advantage of every miscellaneous thing. For example, like something for, let's say, you got to play 13 games to get a bonus, and they bring it down to 11, and they don't know that most standard quarterbacks have this in their contract. I don't know what his team around him is doing, but that's why you pay that money so that every little thing the agent can squeeze out of an owner or a general manager, they do.
Definitely agree. I think it's a mistake. I understand why they would do it, but I do think it's a mistake. I think ultimately, for the sake of your relationship with the organization that is going to pay you the money, it's better to have that buffer there.
And you think it gets done, right? I mean, he's going to be a Raven by week 1. I mean, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think it gets done. Here's the thing. I mean, we don't know what he's asking for, right? Like, so Watson's contract kind of changed everything, right? And now we know we have the Kyler Murray deal that got done since then, so it makes it look like Watson's deal is more of the exception than the rule. But a guy like Lamar Jackson is probably looking at the situation saying, where's my $250 million guarantee?
Yeah. And how many years are they going to guarantee for a guy who's gotten injured over the last few years?
And when you guarantee these contracts, it's not like you can just say a contract. They have to take the guaranteed money, the owner does, and put it in escrow. Not every owner in NFL is the Haslams and has $230 million to put in escrow right now.
That's
Let's
a good
be
point.
real.
There are some owners that are very, very cheap.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy talk. So it's interesting. The whole thing is interesting.
But I would be shocked. I would be shocked if Smith doesn't get a deal done, and if Lamar, I think they both stay with their teams.
You do?
Yeah.
Think Smith stays?
If I'm Eberflus, I go into that office and say, we cannot let this guy go because he's the cornerstone of our defense for the next 5 years.
Got to get it done if you're Eberflus, for sure. I just he made it sound, the way he has talked, he makes it sound like it's done. It's dead. He said he doesn't trust him anymore.
I understand that, but Brad, we've seen people be. Aaron Rodgers was gone from the Packers last year. Remember him
Sure.
and Devontae Adams were having their farewell tour. They even put like Jordan and Pippen, and they got mocked for it because Jordan and Pippen at least won a title. They were like, "We're gone." And then when money's in front of you, and it's a city that you've been in, it's hard to walk away. I've seen worse said and players resign.
Good point. It's a good point. Trust barrier is tough to break, though. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
that is
When-
true.
When you say I don't trust him anymore, something's gone wrong. Did you watch Hard Knocks, Monty?
I do not watch Hard Knocks, and part of the reason is I look at the Detroit Lions and their head coach like Rex Ryan. He's just this rah-rah kneecap. We're going to hurt you. That's not the way the NFL is played. Like, I love how Bill Belichick never says, we're going to go out there and physically pound you or beat you, and he beats the hell out of people every week. So I do not watch Hard Knocks for that reason. This guy is Rex Ryan Part 2, as far as I'm concerned.
So, I have a guy, his name's Ken Rogers. He's been the showrunner. He works for NFL Films. He's been the showrunner of Hard Knocks since like season 2. He's fantastic. He comes on the show every year. We talk about Hard Knocks. He did a really good interview with us right on the show during the COVID year, and, because they were going through all that stuff, and it was very good. So I'm going to have him on here in the next couple of weeks, right, as the show is going along. But I can't stand Dan Campbell, and I don't know what I want to talk about. Like, people love this guy. Like, people came away from the first episode, like, a little hyperbolic, saying it's the best episode ever of Hard Knocks because of the speeches about somebody with one ass cheek and 3 fingers or something like that. We don't care. We'll beat their ass. I guess there's a scene in it where Hutchinson sings and like the whole team sings.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. For me, a guy like Dan Campbell, Greg Williams, guys like that, right? Greg with 2 G's Williams, they have an impact for a short amount of time. Like, they will get you up and get you out to a 3-0 start, but it's not, there's no sustained, like, level-headedness prevails in the end for me.
Well, I will say a couple things. First of all, one of the players tweeted after Campbell gave a speech, I'm ready to die on the football field. And I put, really? So he's motivated you so much that you're going to die today on the football field. Here's what I don't like. You cannot cry in week 8 at a press conference because the Detroit Lions lost because you didn't coach a good enough game. No one wants a coach like Rex Ryan or Campbell who, when you win, go out, party, we're the best. And then when you lose, it's like you're on suicide watch. The roller coaster. You could be rah-rah on the sideline. You could be emotional. I love all that stuff. For anyone who says, oh, they don't need to motivate, they get paid. No, you need to motivate every week. You need to be, as a former coach, you motivate in practice, you motivate. But this Dan Campbell guy, when they win, we're the greatest team in the world. I love this team. When they lose, he's crying at a press conference. And it's not even a Super Bowl. What are you crying for? It's week 8.
Monty, he cried 4 times in the first episode of Hard Knocks. No joke. No joke.
You need a coach that no matter what happens during, I mean, just imagine the Lions have a successful season. And if they win, they're in the playoffs, and their field goal kicker is there, and the team is looking for Dan Campbell, and he's going to be like biting his nails, like so scared. Like, come on, dude. You need to be a leader amongst men. You could panic behind closed doors, but when you're out in public, when you're on the sideline, they need a calming voice when crap goes south. And when crap goes south with Rex Ryan as the coach or Dan Campbell goes coach, the negative energy, the shoulder slumping, the body language, you can't have it. You need a coach that when you're down 14-0 at halftime, is going to go in there and make adjustments. And I think he's a great rah-rah guy, but I don't think he's a good X and O guy.
Yeah, I just think that the ups and downs will wear on a team. Like
Exactly.
you can't get that high and that low. It will wear you down,
Yeah.
right?
And
Like
Brad, how many times do we see players after they win a game? We're going to enjoy this tonight. Well-coached teams, and it's on to next week. Right? That's it. That's
yeah,
it. It's on to next week. We're going to enjoy this the next. And I used to think, oh man, what are these guys saying? They're not even giving the interviewer anything to go by. But that's how it is. Enjoy it for the day. Tom Brady says this all the time. We're going to enjoy this win, take time off, have a good time, and then it's on to next week because we have bigger goals. Talking about baseball, Francisco Lindor just broke Jose Reyes' record for most RBI in the season with 50 games left. And they interviewed me, said, I grew up watching Jose Reyes. He was one of my idols. I look up to him. But as happy as I am with this record, I'm here to win a World Series. And that's what you want to hear. Like,
yeah,
if Dan Campbell was coaching the Mets, they'd be taking Jose Reyes out to dinner,
yeah.
celebrating, posting on social media, crying because he broke the record.
They'd be taking guys out at second base like Albert Bell did back in the day. They'd
Exactly.
be, you know.
Yeah. Breaking
Anyway,
kneecaps.
gnawing off kneecaps and beating up one-ass, three-fingered men or whatever the hell he said.
I'm glad you
He's
feel the
something
same
else.
way because I know so many people who love the guy.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. I was just gonna say the narrative. I mean, people are gonna listen to the show, and I'm sorry if you feel differently about it. Hard Knocks is a great show. It's awesome, right? And there's always that little sway that like everybody kind of falls in love with the guy that's on the fringe cut of the roster, right? Like, can he make it or
Yeah,
not?
yeah,
And
yeah.
you kind of root for that team that year.
Like a Tim Tebow.
Yeah, yeah. But this is ridiculous. Like this guy and people are falling. They're all in there like Lions, baby. I'm pulling for the Lions. I love this guy. He's laying his heart out there, and that's fine. The narrative is the opposite of the way we feel about it.
100%.
I heard Pat McAfee and those guys talking, and they were like, if they win 5-6 games, he should get another year. I'm thinking, well, they won 4 last year, so
They'll be
we're
better.
about
I
to
think
get-
they'll win. I think they'll win 7 or 8 games. They had a very good offseason. They had a
have
very good
talent.
offseason.
They did have an influx of talent.
Yeah.
I just find it hard to believe that a leader that is so up and down can.
By the way,
he'll have. It
give
has
me
its
Matt
advantages in short.
Give me Matt LaFleur any day of the
Yeah.
week coaching against him. Any day of the
Agreed.
week.
Agreed. Same with my guy. I love him. I mean, Browns fans, they're hard on Stefanski, but I love him. He is a one day at a time. I'm dealing with information that I got. We're gonna work, put our heads down, work. This is what I got. He doesn't give the press anything. And this is coming off of having like Hugh Jackson, who was the opposite, who would be like talking about the game plan and what he did last night, and Stefanski, a man of few words, and that's how it should be for a head coach.
I'll give you an example too. I know a lot of people didn't like Chip Kelly, who coached at Oregon. Now he's at UCLA. But when he was with the Eagles, they were pretty good his first year, and they won a game. And I think Michael Vick threw the ball like 40 times, and they won at the end. And they said to him, so next week, are you going to throw the ball 40 times? And Chip Kelly had the best response I've ever heard a prepared coach say. He goes, I don't know if we're going to throw the ball 40 times or 4. I haven't looked at the film. I think they were playing the Giants, of the Giants next week. I game plan week to week. He goes, it's one day at a time, 1 week at a time. And it was such a great answer because, Rex Ryan used to say, we got to ground and pound. We got to run the ball. Well, what happens if you can't run the ball? Well, you're screwed. That's why he had like one of the worst 2-minute offenses in the history of the NFL because he never practiced it because all he wanted to do was ground and pound. The NFL is all about making a second and third adjustment as the game goes on.
Yeah, and about more and more, it's about becoming a different team every week, Monty. Like, you can't be the same every week. You can't be. I mean, to a certain extent, you want an identity, right?
All right.
But you also have to go into each week and realize what you have that's an advantage over your opponent. And it can't just be like, every week we're just gonna, there has to be the ability of Bill Belichick has done it for years. They're a different team every week. Whoever they need to be that week to beat their opponent, that's who they are.
Yeah.
Not every team can do that, but.
And going like balance, like 1 week you throw, 1 week you run. Dan Campbell has no balance. It's high, low, high, low. There's never just, calmness.
There's no middle ground, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the Jets real quick.
Okay.
And along with Mekhi Becton going down, the Browns lost their center for the season, Nick Harris. Zach Wilson is flying to LA. This is from today, I think. Day the 14th. Yeah. Zach Wilson flying to LA to have a meniscus surgery from Dr. Neil L. Atrache. He's like the best, right? He's like the one guy I keep always hearing his name with this stuff. With the hope that he can return in 4 weeks or something. Sorry.
I think they're saying he's questionable for week 1, which is fine. But I just want to go back to a couple points about this. I think this is the 7th time in the last 2 or 3 years that someone has a torn or tear in their ACL on that turf without anyone hitting them. So I don't know what's going on with landscaping, but if I own a NFL team, I want grass there. I want it to be as running on like a cloud. Because again, this is like the 7th or 8th time in the last 2.5 years where someone has a severe knee injury without anyone hitting them.
Yeah. The injuries are crazy, right? Like, every year it's like this, but it's just so brutal. Browns lost 2 guys for the year already, Jakeem Grant and Nick Harris, who busted his ass all winter long to put on weight and take over that center position for J.C. Treader, and he's out. Second play in preseason game 1. Don't play your starters in preseason. I hate it so.
Listen, Matthew Stafford didn't play 1 snap, and the first game with the Rams, he had a great game. When you're a veteran quarterback, I mean, there's got to be a better way, man. Listen, I am not a fan of Zach Wilson. As a matter of fact, Joe Flacco was outplaying him so bad in training camp that the Jets head coach had to come out and say, why are you shocked? Joe Flacco would be a starter on several teams. I'm not a fan of Zach Wilson, but I hate to see injuries. But this is going to put him back. Let's say best case scenario, he comes back week 2, week 3. What happened? I don't think it's going to happen because you look at the Jets roster here, and there's really no one that's an elite number 1 wide receiver or an elite running back. Their offensive line should be top 10. Even without Becton, they have a good offensive line. But I look at this team and I say to myself, who's Zach Wilson throwing to? Who's Joe Flacco throwing to? How are the Jets going to score points? They're in a division with Bill Belichick, with the Bills, who could probably put up 37 points a game this year, and Miami with, most people don't realize this. I said this on my show. Jalen Waddle broke the rookie record last year for most receptions by Anquan Bolden. And now they add Tyreek Hill, and they bring in a coach who's supposed to be the next offensive genius. So you look at the Jets, they have the 4th best quarterback in that division, and their skill position players are terrible compared to what they're going up against. So best case scenario, 6 wins.
Yeah. I like Zach Wilson better.
I know
than
you do. And my brother loves him too. And I'm like, he's terrible. I'm like, he is terrible.
You can't call him terrible yet. He hasn't even played it down this year. Come on, man. You're writing him off before he even has a chance.
I wrote him off when I saw him walking down being drafted. I said, this is a terrible pick. And for nothing else, look at the history of the Jets. They just did a poll last year, Brad, to rate the Jets' best quarterbacks in the history of the organization. It was Joe Namath, 51%, because half the fans don't even know who Joe Namath is because they went to the Super Bowl in 1969. And number 2, Brad, Chad Pennington at 49%, who was a game manager. He's Alex Smith minus the running ability. These are the two best quarterbacks in the history of the Jets organization. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's got talent. Come on, he's got some moxie. Let's give him a chance, man. I think you're writing him off. He's got talent.
Brad, I've been writing him off since they
Yeah,
drafted him. I told you on my
Andrea,
show, I said he's
Andrea,
terrible.
Andrea tells me to stop. Stop it, Brad. Stop. All right,
I don't
Andrea,
understand
I'll
what
stop.
people see in this kid. Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence are way better than Justin Fields is going to be better than him.
I don't think
Zach
Trey
Wilson
Lance
is
better
terrible.
than him. I have questions about Trey Lance.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Trey Lance is going to be legit in that offense.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine in that offense. But in that offense, I mean, I could probably win 9 games.
Okay, but Brad, let's say this. If Zach Wilson can't stay healthy, right, and he doesn't play, and when he does play, the team stinks, it's a waste of a pick. They wasted their pick on this guy.
No. He's got arm talent. He's athletic. He's got leadership. He's got moxie. He does have a really good arm. He's accurate when he has time. Look what's around him. If you have to put something around him before you can truly evaluate him in the NFL. Last year, that's fine. You guys are going off of what you saw last year, and I understand. There was even flashes last year at times. He played a really good game late in the season. I remember we talked about it. Look, he has, I understand you guys don't believe, but I have to believe in what I evaluated him as when he was coming out in the draft. And when he was coming out in the draft, I saw him as a very, very good prospect. Just because he ended up on the Jets, I can't write him off.
Okay, I will say this. I do agree with you. I do think he's a player, Playa, because he's constantly hooking up with his friends' moms and other stuff like that. But he's not a player, Player.
How funny is that when he came back with that text? What did you write, or the tweet that said, hey, I've been something. Anything happened while I was gone?
Listen. Greg likes him. You like him. My brother likes him. I'm said it when they drafted him. He will be a bust.
That's fine. We'll see. Time will tell. But it's too early to tell.
But how sad is it that the Jets head coach, Robert Saleh, had to come out because Joe Flacco was kicking his ass, and he's like, well, Joe Flacco could be a starter. Like, no, my second-year quarterback needs to own that.
He can't be a starter anywhere. Flacco could not start for anybody in the NFL anymore, in my opinion. That's a false statement by Saleh.
But he's saying that
knows an offensive play if it slapped him in the back of the head. First of all,
but Brad, he's saying that. He's saying that because he was outplaying Zach Wilson so badly, and the players saw it. The players were like, what the hell are we doing here? Joe Flacco's the man. When Joe Flacco's the man in training camp, you don't have a starting quarterback. That's all I'm going to say. We can move on.
Good point. I get your point there. If that is true, if Joe Flacco was lighting him up and making him look foolish, that's
he was just
not
outplaying him.
sign.
That's why Saleh came out and said, guys, this is not a shock. We all know Joe. Name one team besides maybe Houston that Joe Flacco would start on.
He wouldn't. I agree. Once again, I'm not putting a lot of merit in what Saleh sees on the offensive side of the ball. But, first of all, bad hire. I don't like him for a head coach for them. I'm sorry. That's maybe a rush to judgment there. But in an age where it's all about offense, and then you bring him in as your head coach, and then you draft your quarterback, it's a little ass backwards, isn't it? Shouldn't you be bringing in a guy to bring along your quarterback?
Here's what I will say, Brad. When you have a great defensive coordinator and you're an offensive coach, you let him run the defense, right? So Robert Saleh, all those years with Shanahan, was a perfect fit because he ran the defense for San Francisco. They became an elite unit. But when you have a defensive coach and then you have an offensive coordinator, he's still overlooking what the offensive coordinator, and his mentality, for the most part, is be conservative because he doesn't want you to turn the ball over. He doesn't want to risk it because he thinks defense first. And that's why I think it was a bad hire if you want to be an offensive team. Because let's be honest, you're not stopping Josh Allen, and you're not stopping Miami. You're not stopping them this year.
I totally agree. It's actually really well put about having an offensive coordinator as a head coach, having a defensive coordinator as a head coach. I don't think it can't work. Like, you can have a defensive coordinator that it works fine. It can.
Yeah, Bill Belichick made Bill Belichick's defensive coach.
But he's a master of all, right? He has made himself a master of each aspect of the game, right?
Right. Yes.
And there's other guys that work too. But if you're bringing in a guy and he's not one of those guys, right? Then it needs to be an OC because for the reason that you just pointed out, because you can't have a defensive coordinator trying to oversee an offense run by a guy that knows more about offense. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, an offensive coordinator will let the defense do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But a defensive head coach who becomes the head coach is going to oversee, and he may not want to go for it on 4th and 1 because he's like, oh, this is going to put his first mindset is, I don't want to put my defense in a bad position. So let's punt here instead of going for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was very well said. There are guys that can do it, interestingly enough, but takes a different kind of guy, I think. So, real quickly, let's hit on a couple things rapid fire. Does Mayfield win the job in Carolina?
No, I would go with.
No?
I think Sam Darnold's a better quarterback.
Get out of here.
I really do.
You're nuts.
Baker may start, but I think Sam will play this year.
Because he loses the job?
Because they just lose and he has interceptions. I think if Sam doesn't start the season, and everything's indicating that Baker's going to start, but I think eventually Sam comes in and takes over because Matt Rule's job is on the line and he has to win. So I'll probably pick Baker because Sam struggled last year with him, and putting Baker in after they got him is the safer bet. But I see a quarterback change if Baker's the starter. I don't see Baker going 17 games.
I gotta be honest. I think Baker is much better than Sam Darnold.
Most people do.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close.
I mean, you have Christian McCaffrey, you have Robbie Anderson. They do have offensive weapons. I just think Baker Mayfield, when push comes to shove, is always going to force the ball and turn the ball over.
Interesting. Okay. I did not expect to hear you say that. Who starts in Pittsburgh? Pickett?
No, listen, I think Trubinsky's the safe starter. I think that unit, I think the Pittsburgh offense is going to be much better than people think with Trubinsky. I think they drafted him and they brought in Trubisky to kind of be a stopgap. I think Trubisky gets the first couple of games, and I think Pittsburgh is going to be much better than people think. If they could go to the playoffs last year with Big Ben, who couldn't throw the ball 20 yards down the field, and now you have some more weapons around you, including Pickens, their wide receiver, I think Trubisky's the starter, and I think Pittsburgh is a playoff team.
I love David Bell, and I hope he works out for the Browns, but I was slamming the table to take Pickens when he was there for the Browns. They didn't take him, and he's going to end up being a stud.
Let's be honest. If Pickens didn't get hurt at Georgia, he would have been a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. I wanted to do, real quickly, we're going to wind this down. You're watching All Eyes on Cleveland. Special guest, Monte Perez, former comedian, former college basketball coach, trainer, lead writer for Nuts and Bolts Sports, creator, host of the full Monte Sports Show on YouTube. Go check it out. It's a must-watch. Follow him on Twitter at MonteJP23. Where can they check out your TikTok? I don't even know how to. Go ahead.
TikTok is Monte Perez 231, and it's nothing but sports. That's all it is. There's no politics. There's a couple jokes in there, but it's no. Every once in a while, I'll post me working out or pictures, but they never get views. Nobody cares. So it's all about sports 24/7 there.
Okay. Okay. Um, Greg thinks Matt Corral will get.
Yeah, a lot of
Nah.
people are high on him.
Yeah. I think you guys are all crazy. I think Baker
By
runs
the
away
way,
with that job.
if
Go ahead.
Matt does play, then Matt Rule's getting fired. Because if he can't win with those two guys and they bring in the third stringer, he's going to be fired.
I think he's fired unless they make the playoffs.
Yeah. Although they did give him a 7-year deal, so we'll see how patient they are.
It'll be interesting. No, we're good. Let's take a look at this real quick, and then we'll get out of here, okay? I wanted to look at the over-unders again real quick with you. Get your betting thoughts on these over-unders.
I love
okay?
over-unders.
Let's do them, sir. All eyes on Cleveland, Monte Perez, around the NFL. We've been around the NFL. Feel free to bring up any topics as we fire through here, Monty. Bills, are they the best team in the AFC? Are they your favorite in the AFC?
They will win they should win the AFC East. I don't have them going to the Super Bowl, but I have them winning at least 12, 13 games, so I'm taking the over there.
Who's going to the Super Bowl in the AFC?
Whoever wins the AFC West is going to the Super Bowl. So that could be the Raiders, the Chargers, the Broncos, or listen, no one's talking about the Raiders, and I don't know why, because they've added some really good pieces.
I know. They're the Raiders, though. Yeah, Bills 11. Oh, I mean, that's an easy over for me, I think. Bucks 11.5.
I'm taking I think that division is terrible, although I do think the Falcons have a chance if everything goes right to win 8 or 9 games. I'm taking the over on the Bucks.
Yeah, I got the over there too. Packers 11.
I'm going to push.
I'll take the over.
Okay.
Chiefs 10.5.
Take the
10
over.
and a hook.
Take the over.
Ugh. I think they win 11 games. I'll take barely over. I think they barely get over by the hook. This whole let's replace Tyreek Hill with Valdez-Scantling and a bunch of other fast guys that aren't Tyreek Hill. I don't.
Well,
it's
Juju Smith-Schuster's a very good wide receiver.
He is, but I don't think they're using him like. Yes, he's an added weapon, but like he more of his like. I don't think they're using him to replace what his role is.
No, I think their offense will look different, but I think they have the best center in the NFL, and I still think that division can get 3 teams in the playoffs, and I think they win at least 11 games.
Okay. I think I have them at 11. I think they'll still be good because of Mahomes, but I think they run into some growing pains without defenses are going to do some different things to them this year. Tyreek Hill is a special guy. He changes how you have to defend an entire team.
You got to keep people deep with Tyreek Hill on the field. No doubt.
He opens a lot up.
Yep.
I don't know if that can be replicated with the guys they brought in. We'll see. It's an interesting experiment, right? The whole let's not pay him and try to get a couple guys to provide the same production. Rams 10.5. Why do you think their over under is down so far? Well, it's not down so far, but down more than the other teams.
I think the Rams win 11, 12 games easy. In a bad year, they'll win 12 games. This, to me, you said the Bills is the easiest over-under. I think this is the easiest over-under here. Take the Rams in the over.
Okay. Yeah, I got them over, too. Probably pretty easily. Cowboys 10. This is interesting.
Under. I think the Eagles are the class of that division. They have one of the best offensive line in football. They have a good defense. People don't realize the Eagles led the league in rushing last year. Now you add A.J. Brown, wide receiver from the Tennessee Titans. Another year with Jalen Hurts. I think the Eagles win the division and the Cowboys win 8 or 9 games.
I'm gonna say push. I think the Cowboys win 10 games exactly, and I think it's enough to win that division. 49ers 10.
I'm going to go over. I think they're a playoff team. You look at that division, it's the Rams and the 49ers, and let's be honest, up until the NFC Championship game, Shanahan has owned McVay. It's just a terrible matchup for them. So I like the 49ers. I think Arizona takes a step back, and I think Carolina is a 7-win team. So take the 49ers and the over.
I agree. 49ers over. I like the 49ers. I like what they do. I think they have figured out how to sustain winning out there, and I think they will continue to do so. So whether they win the division or not, they're winning more than 10 games. Broncos 10.
I'm going to push.
Under.
You're taking the under. So you
I'm
don't
going
think
under.
Russell Wilson makes a big difference?
No, not enough. Not enough of a difference. I think that they keep talking. I know a lot of people like that roster a lot and the talent there. I think it's a little bit overrated. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I don't know if Russ is still Russ. I saw some glimpses of some things that make me think that he's going the other way.
I mean, he's on the back nine of his career, but he's a Hall of Famer, so he's still a top 10 quarterback.
Okay. I think they win more than 8 games. I just don't know if they get over 10, right? Bengals 10.
Over.
Over. I agree. Chargers 10.
Over.
Over. Agreed. Colts 10.
Over.
Under.
Whoa, you don't think they win that division?
No.
Wow, so you have the Titans winning it.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I don't.
You're not a Matt Ryan guy.
I'm not. There was a time that I believed in Matt Ryan, but that time has passed.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the Colts.
By the way,
have
Brad,
this
I've heard that speech about me several times. There was
Oh,
a time.
that's
There was a time that I believed in you, Monty. It's just not anymore. So.
That's not true. Nobody's ever said that. If anything, they've said the opposite. There was a time when I did not believe in you, Monty, but I do now, sir.
Okay. That's probably more accurate.
Yeah. Or I've always believed in you, Monty.
What do we got? Okay, so we're at the Eagles. This is a no-brainer. Eagles are winning the division.
He's
They're
like,
the
"Come on,
class
move on."
of the NFC East. I have them winning 12, maybe, if all goes well, 13 games. The Eagles are very talented on both sides of the ball.
I know.
I'm very high on Philadelphia.
I know you are. A lot of people are. They're a very trendy pick right now. I don't like their head coach.
But wait a minute. You don't like Mike McCarthy. They're the most undisciplined team I've ever seen.
I don't like Mike McCarthy either. I didn't say I like him. Just because I don't like this pinhead doesn't mean I like Mike McCarthy. I can not like both of them.
Okay, so who wins that division? Don't tell me Washington.
No. I think that, like I said, I think the Cowboys win it. It's just a mess of a division, kind of. I don't know. I don't think. Listen, I know everybody Hurts, and he's a fantasy gem because he runs all over the place and stuff. But I'm still not convinced that he can stand in the pocket and throw the ball with any consistency at all. And if teams are going to have a different approach to them than they had last year. We know what the Eagles want to do. They want to run the ball.
They want to run the ball. They were number 1 in rushing last year. Most people thought it was the Titans.
So they bring in A.J. Brown. That's great, but can he get him the ball when they're?
So you're taking the under? You think they win less than not? You think they win 9 games?
Yeah,
in that
I'm gonna
crappy
take the
division?
under. Yeah, I think they win 9 and they lose by a game.
Okay.
That division is always right around 500.
And every year a different team wins the division. So.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys win it. Just because Dak Prescott is better than Hurts. Ravens 9.5.
I'm going to go under just because I think the Bengals and the Steelers are the class of that division. If Deshaun Watson was starting day one, I'd have the Browns right up there. but I'm going to take 9 wins for the Ravens. I think the Steelers and Cincinnati battle for the division title.
Okay. It's the last time you're on this show ever again. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. 9.5. Yeah, I say over. I think they win 10 games. Browns 9.5.
This is really predicated on how many games Watson will play. Let's say Watson is out for the year. I think they go 8-9.
Okay. I'm right there with you, probably, unless they get Jimmy G, and then I
Yeah.
think they can win like 10 or 11.
Vikings over.
Vikings, barely. I'll take the barely over. Titans over for me.
I'm going to push.
Okay. This one's
Dolphins
interesting.
over. I think they make the playoffs.
Yeah, you're in on the Dolphins, huh?
I'm in on the Dolphins. 100. They have a very good defense. They have an offensive mind. And Tyreek Hill, their offensive line is not that good. I think it's ranked 20th by Pro Football Focus. But I got to assume with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in the lineup, they're just going to do screens, end arounds, reverses. Remember, the San Francisco 49ers, when he was the offensive coordinator, they led the league in players in motion before the snap. They're constantly moving. He's going to do the same thing to protect that weak offensive line and play to Tua's strength, which is a 3-step drop.
Yeah, my only issue is Tua, right?
Right.
So I'll go over. I think they get to 10, right? Patriots 8.5, over, under.
I can't see Bill Belichick going under 500, so I'm going to say they win 9 games.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go over. These next two are really interesting. Let me ask you this: before we answer the Cardinals at 8.5, Raiders 8.5, Saints 8.5, all three at 8.5 here, 8 and a hook, right? Why do you think the Raiders are all the way down at 8.5 from Vegas?
Well, I just think because what the Chargers did this offseason, what the Broncos did, adding Russell Wilson. And again, people could say whatever they want about the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been to 4 straight AFC championship games. 4 straight AFC championship games. They still have Kelsey. They still have Andy Reid. They still have Patrick Mahomes. So people are thinking the Raiders are the worst team in that division. But I think they're going to win 9 games. I think the Cardinals, they falter. Cliff Kingsbury's whole life has been start off strong at Texas Tech, and then he sucks in the second half of the year. So they may go 5-2, and then they'll win 8 games. So I'm taking the under. And the Saints, I think they win 8 games. So I'm going under for the Cardinals, under for the Saints, over for the Raiders.
What did you make of the whole Kyler Murray addendum to his contract about watching 4 hours of film, like per week, which is like bare minimum?
Okay, so here Kyler Murray has he's got a video game addiction.
Yeah.
He literally plays like 40 hours a week video games.
Yeah.
So here's my point. Why are you giving a guy $230-something million? Do you think Drew Brees had to have a clause in his contract, or Tom Brady, to watch film? They're basically telling you, hey, this guy doesn't put the work in, and maybe the reason why they suck the second half of the year is because teams see Kyler Murray a second time, and they make adjustments after playing him the first time, and that's why they lose in the second half of the year, and they fold like a tent under Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. So I thought it was an absolute joke, and I would not play for someone who doesn't watch film. And then Kyler Murray had the audacity to come out in his press conference and say, I was the best baseball and football player in high school. I was the best football and baseball player in college. I won the Heisman. I was drafted in the top 10 by both. Like, dude, no one cares about that. Everyone in the NFL is the best athlete in high school, the best athlete in college. What makes you different as a quarterback is your ability to adjust and call plays at the line and watch film and see something that you didn't see before. And he doesn't do that. Very down on Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I am too. The whole, like, okay, like, I don't understand what happened. Like, you signed the contract. What, did they miss it or something? Like, What do you mean? You're mad? You're offended by something that you just signed? And why'd you sign it? Like, I understand the whole like timeline there was totally out of whack. I felt like he was like probably like, oh, maybe at the time he didn't think anything of it, and then the press got like he got leaked to the press, and they made a bigger deal out of it. But there is something behind it because those hours are logged that he is online playing under a username. So unless he's got like a his
Well, they even put in his contract no music, no phone, no video games while you're watching film. So if you're watching film, what the hell are you doing? Because I know being around high school quarterbacks, college quarterbacks, when guys watch films, they're writing notes. They're not playing video games.
listen, at this level, to even have to have this conversation is ridiculous. That's what's the thing. To even have to talk about how many hours a guy is watching film and as a starting NFL quarterback with the talent of a guy like Kyler Murray is absurd. Like, he should be first one in. 4 hours a week is nothing. These guys, that's nothing.
It's
Like
less than 1 hour a day.
These guys are putting in more than that before they have their, before 10 a.m. most days.
Brad, how long do
It's
you
crazy.
prepare for your show? Minimum.
I mean, a couple days before each
Yeah,
one, probably all together, close to that.
Yeah. I mean, you see how many questions I send you, how much topics.
Yeah.
You know how much stuff I have to look up. To do a 1 2 hour show, I at least double that in prep work.
Yeah.
And this guy can't watch 4 hours a week on film. Get the hell
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's his job. This is
Yeah.
your job. It's not like, come on, guy. Get it together. All right, Saints. Saints are a weird team. 8.5. What do you think of it? I'm gonna go over. I think. Go ahead.
I'm going under. I know Michael Thomas is back. I know that. Listen, they could have a legitimate wide receiver core with Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas, but you're replacing a legend 2 years ago in Drew Brees, and then you're replacing another legend and Hall of Famer in Sean McVay. I don't think the Saints. I think the Saints go 8-9.
I like Dennis Allen. I like Winston's potential this year. Like I think that we may see something special from him moving forward. I think he has it in him to be really good. So I'll go over.
Now,
Commanders today.
let me say this. Are you concerned at all that Winston was controlled by McVay, an offensive-minded coach, and now, yes, same coordinators, whatever, but you have a defensive coach who is not going to mentor him as much and let him on his own because we know Winston needs structure. Does that concern you at all?
It does concern me, yeah, it does. I mean, McVay is that guy, right? So it is concerning, definitely. So we'll see how. It's an experiment. We'll see how it goes, right?
Yep.
Hopefully, I think there's enough familiar faces around. Sorry about that. To keep him on brand, you know what I mean? To keep him
And not
on.
just that, getting Michael
Yeah.
Thomas back is a help to any quarterback. I mean, that guy's in his sleep is going to get 85 catches.
Incredible. Yeah, their wide receiving core could be really good. What do you think of the Commanders at 8 wins?
I think the Giants are going to be terrible, and I think the Commanders' defense will be better. Remember, we all thought they were going to be a lights-out defensive unit last year, and they weren't. I think that changes this year. I would say 8 is a push. They go 8-9.
I think I'm going to go under. You got above. You got Steelers at all the way down at 7. What do you think Steelers at 7?
I think, first of all, whoever did this, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. So to
Right.
put the Steelers at 10, at 7, with a better quarterback than they had last year, and maybe better weapons now with Pickens and Juju Smith-Schuster out of there, who kind of became like a cancer in the locker room, I think the Steelers win 10, 11 games, and they make the playoffs. I would bet that and the Eagles, to me, are the easiest bet for overs here.
I think. Listen, Trubisky, Pickett, Rudolph. I think that's the worst QB room in maybe the league. I don't know. So I don't think that unless Pickett.
Wait, Brad, you don't think Trubisky is a step up from Big Ben, who was god awful last year?
Yeah, I guess. But that's not saying much. I mean, I don't understand how Trubisky all of a sudden got good. All he did was sit behind Josh Allen for a year, and all of a sudden his stock went through the roof. It's absurd.
I think they're going to be pretty good. And again, Mike Tomlin doesn't lose, so a bad year is 9-8.
Yeah, guy doesn't lose till he loses. I don't know. I just don't see how they can. I just don't see the quarterback to lead them to 10 wins. Like, I don't think they'll lose. I don't think they'll win 7 games or anything like that. I think they'll be right around 500 again. Maybe he gets to 9-8, but I can't see Kenny Pickett taking them to the playoffs in the AFC North. That seems like
I think Trubisky's gonna have a very good year.
So I can't see Trubisky taking a team to the playoffs in the AFC North.
He took the Bears with less talent. He took the Bears with less talent to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Okay.
Fair enough. Giants 7.
They're gonna win 5 or 6 games under.
Yeah, I agree. Bears 6.5. 6.5.
Bears 5 or 6 wins. Take the under.
I agree. Unfortunately, did you see their field?
Well, you see they're trying to build a new stadium, right? They're trying to really revamp it, and they have all these projections for how they're going to make it into a state-of-the-art facility. Have you seen that online?
Yeah.
I think Daniel Goodwin posted it, so you can check it out.
Yeah. They better be building a new stadium. That field looked like shit.
No.
I mean, it looked awful.
Listen, I'm used to that. MetLife Stadium is probably the worst turf in the NFL. It's like a 1980s turf.
Yeah, that's just crazy. All right. I lost track.
Lions.
Lost
We're at the
track.
Lions.
Out there. Come on, Mikey. Get it together, buddy. All right.
Lions.
Lions 6.5.
I think the Lions win 7 games. I'll take the over.
Oh. Dan Campbell. Is that enough to keep his job?
Yeah, because the Lion fans are like, I love what this guy stands for. I can have a beer with him. Let me just say this. I don't want to have a beer with my presidents or my head coaches. I want them to be smarter than me. I would rather have Bill Belichick, who looks down upon me, than Dan Campbell's like, I'll have a beer with you. No.
Yeah. Great point. Pickett played amazing, said Andrea.
Yeah, he did.
Preseason.
Yeah. You know, but when a rookie does well in preseason, I remember Mark Sanchez lit it up in preseason, and I was going crazy.
And let's remember, that game was in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's not like any other rookie playing their first game in the NFL. He's played all of his college games there.
Yeah.
He's the same locker room and the door right next door.
Yep.
He's very comfortable.
They even practiced there a bunch of times.
Yeah. So, listen, I am not a believer in Kenny Pickett. I'm sorry. I know he looked good, but those guys will be selling insurance in a couple weeks.
Jaguars, I think they have a chance to win 7 games. I can't imagine them being as bad as they were with all the draft picks they've accumulated over the years.
Yeah.
So, but if I had a bet, I would say they win 6 games, which is still an improvement. So I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the under as well. Panthers?
Under.
Over. I got to go over. I think Baker leads them to like 8 wins.
Okay. All right. Seahawks, I'm going to have to go. I think the Seahawks are the worst team in the league. I'm going to go under.
What? Really?
I think the Seahawks are going to be terrible. They have a terrible offensive line. And Geno Smith, really? Geno Smith is your starting quarterback?
Well, he's not going to start. Drew Lock's going to start, right?
Well, right now it's Geno Smith.
Really? They're both terrible.
Listen, it's bad. You talk about bad quarterback rooms.
Yeah, you're right. That's worse. You're right. That's
And
the
Pete
worst.
Carroll's offense is straight out of 1985. Run on first down, run on second down. He's not going to have Russell Wilson to bail him out.
And you know they want Jimmy G, and that's why the 49ers won't cut him yet.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Jets, five
I
and a
think
half,
the Jets go 5 and 12, so under.
under by a hook. I'll go under as well. Yeah, Falcons at 5.
I think the Falcons offensively, the Pro Football Focus had them ranked 31 in offensive line, and I think their defense is ranked 32nd. But I just think they're going to be able to put up points. I think that this is my surprise pick. I think they'll be better than the Saints and better than Carolina, so I'm taking the over here. I think Mariota has a ton of weapons, even though their offensive line sucks.
Yeah, I like Arthur Smith. I like his offense, his offensive style. He does have some weapons there, Mariota. I like him getting another chance. I don't think they're better than the teams that you said, but I think they're good enough to win more than 5 games.
I think the Texans are the worst team in the league, other than the Seahawks. They'll be lucky to win 3 or 4 games. Take the under.
Under on 4 and a hook. Davis Mills.
Yeah.
And they're saying it like they never even tried to move off of it.
And they're saying it with conviction. But again,
That's what I'm saying.
who's he throwing to?
Right. What's his kid's name that showed out in the preseason game? Damian Pierce.
And not just that. I mean, is there anyone on and I say this about the Jets. Is there anyone on the Houston offense? Is there anyone on the Jets offense? Like you look at Seattle. Okay, Tyler Lockett. You have wide receivers that are playmakers. Is there anyone on Houston or anyone on the New York Jets that a defensive coordinator is going to go and hey, we got to stop this guy? No.
No, you're right. 100% right.
The problem with the Jets and teams like Houston is they don't give a defensive coordinator any reason not to do whatever they want. Where if you have a Tyreek Hill, if you're a Patrick Mahomes, if you're a Josh Allen, you dictate what you do on offense, and the defense is reacting. Whereas when you play the Jets in Houston, you're the aggressor, and the offense is reacting.
Well said. Totally agree. I wanted to show you this real quick. Okay. This is the wrong one. Son of a Mikey. All right. So there's this power rankings out here. The Browns are all the way down at 25th on the power rankings. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And then I'm like, holy crap! Right. Like, what the hell's going on there? Like, am I like losing my mind because this looks like a talented roster? No, I can't find it. Anyways, right here. Bear with me, folks. Mike, he's having a tough time right now.
So, is it because the question of the quarterback position and Jacoby Brissett? Is that why they're ranked 25th?
That's my question, because then you turn around and look on the same site with Bucky Brooks, and he names his 5 most talented teams in 2022. My top 5 most talented teams. There's your Chargers at 1.
Right.
Saints at 2. Rams at 3. Green Bay at 4. Browns at 5. So how are they 5th most talented team?
And then 25th in power rankings.
In the power rankings on the same site.
I will say this, Brad, because the quarterback position has become so important. Prime example. Look how bad the Bengals' offensive line was last year. Joe Burrow got sacked, I think, 84 times in 2 years. They went to the Super Bowl. Why? Because he had an MVP-like year and he had an elite wide receiver. So I think nowadays the quarterback position has become, and that's why I asked you earlier, I said, you look at the Browns roster, with Deshaun Watson, they could have the most talent of any team in that division. But without him, it's like, okay, how are we going to manufacture points? I mean, the Bengals had the worst offensive line last year. Joe Burrow was getting killed for 2 years, and they made it to the Super Bowl because him and Chase were so electric, and they had some really good skill position players. So that's the only reason I can say Jacoby Brissett, again, like you said, super conservative, doesn't stretch the field, always checks down. And that might be a good thing because if you look at Kareem Hunt and you look at Nick Chubb, they could be safety valves all day, and that's fine. If your two running backs both have 50 catches,
Yeah. I don't think it's
Deshaun
enough.
Watson being out, it changes the whole division around.
Yeah, it does. It changes the division. I don't think it's enough. Like, they have a great running game. They'll have a good offensive line. I think they're going to have a really good defense.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have a stud defense. But
And they've owned the Bengals, like you said, right?
Yeah.
They own the Bengals.
And it'll win them some games, but not enough to win the division unless I think that if they pivot to Jimmy G, I think they have a chance to win a few more.
If Jimmy G goes there, they probably go from 25 to 12.
Yeah.
With
I think
Deshaun
so,
Watson, they're top 10.
Yeah, agreed. Well said. Monty, you have been fantastic as usual. And as I was saying at the top of the show, I have to thank you and thank you publicly on air. You have been so fantastic to me. You've befriended me, had me on your show, supported everything that I've done, and I just appreciate you greatly. And it's a long time coming that I had you on All Eyes on Cleveland tonight, and you were fantastic as usual. And I can't wait for another year of Monday Night Recap.
Yeah, Brad, listen, I appreciate you because from the minute I met you, I see how hard you work at this, how your audience has grown. I am so happy for you. I try to support everything you do. A lot of the times I can't listen to it live, but I'll listen to it during the day, and I always leave a comment like, Brad, great point here, great point there. There is no one who covers Cleveland sports better than you. I mean that wholeheartedly. So all your success, it has nothing to do with anyone else but yourself. You are a grinder. You are a rational Cleveland fan. You don't even like Ohio State, which even makes me like you even more. So I appreciate that.
Great, you just outed me to all of my Ohio State fans. They all just unfollowed me. Thanks, Monty. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's okay. Thank you, Monty. You're the best, buddy, and I appreciate you coming on. Marie was great too. Catch all three of us every Monday night to recap your NFL weekend. Catch your shows, which are on Sunday.
So we start. We're taking a few weeks off. I haven't taken off in like 2 years, so we're taking a few weeks off. So we start August 28th, 11 a.m. on Sunday, and then after the first week, that first Monday, we have you and Marie on. We're gonna have a bunch of guests on during the year as well at 6 o'clock Eastern time to recap every week in football. And I will say that I did beat you, Brad and Marie, in picking games last year. So we're going to double the pool this year. It'll be a $200 American Express gift card, whoever wins.
Yeah, you wiped the floor with us, didn't you?
Well, because Brad, you have a problem picking the Steelers and the Ravens and the Bengals. So you're kind of handicapped yourself in that way. You're like, I can't pick them.
Yeah, I think I hung around for a while, but then it got you blew me out at the end. So great job. You're a great picker of games. You killed it, Monty, last year. I remember your record was impeccable. So pay attention to those over and unders, all you degenerates out there like myself. So thank you again, Monty, for coming on the show. Looking forward to another fantastic NFL year doing the recap show with you, and I'm honored to do it. Thanks to Mikey on the ones and twos. Amarie Castillo, go check her out on the Sports Animal for Cumulus Media. She has a new show called Name 3 Players, and all other places where she is putting out her terrific content. And as I said before, for my friend here, Monte Perez, on Twitter at MontyJP231 and at TikTok. Check him out on TikTok. Follow him on TikTok for sure. All Sports Monte Perez 231. It has been a pleasure, and with that, we are out.
Bye.